Over the years of being a car broker, I've seen some pretty terrible lease deals get put together, and after dealing with clients throughout the years, I've decided that getting a really good lease deal largely depends on some key factors that I want to discuss in this video. Before I dive into the list of 5 major red flags of terrible lease deals, give me a thumbs up. Help me out on this algorithm a little bit to get this video across more consumers so that they're making really sound decisions when they shake hands on these lease deals. What is happening, guys? Ari here from Boston Automotive Consulting, and in the description below you're going to find some resources to help you when you're out there shopping around for a brand new car. And without further ado, let's dive into this list of 5 major red flags of a bad lease deal. Number 1, a large amount down paired with a short-term lease deal. I've been seeing this a lot lately to make deals look a lot more enticing than they actually are. I'm going to give you a very specific example, an example that I used in one of my previous videos regarding the advertised lease special. Now, what dealerships have been doing a lot lately is using a 24-month lease and using a very high amount down, say about $3,000 down. When you're dividing up the $3,000 over 24 months, it's affecting the payment a lot more than a 36-month lease. Because there's a lot shorter of a duration, a lot shorter term to divide up the money, it's making the payment a lot nicer, a lot more attractive, because there's a shorter term to be dividing up the number. So in essence, instead of dividing 3,000 by 36, we're dividing it by 24, effectively bringing down the payment a lot more because of a shorter term. Don't get tricked by this. It's all just a game of aesthetics. Number 2, conversely, a very long term, a 48-month lease to make the payment a lot nicer looking. Because most cars depreciate over the first 3 years, the bulk of the depreciation rather is taking place over the first 3 years. A 48-month lease is really just piggybacking off of the first 3 years. The majority of the first 3 years you're paying regardless, so they're like, oh, what's one more year? The real problem isn't the what's one more year. The real problem is the maintenance and or warranty issues that arise from you keeping the car one more year. So if you're not in it for the long haul, the first 3 years is likely more than enough at a maximum of 42 months. The reason why I say this is typically most warranties run up at 4 years and 50,000 miles. So if you're contracted for 12,000 miles a year, or say 15,000 miles a year, the 12 times 4, you're at 48,000 miles. If you're at 15, then you're at about 60,000. So you got to be very careful in terms of not going over the miles so you're not out of warranty. And God forbid you've got to extend your lease, you're pretty much out of luck. So be very careful in that you're not doing more than a 42-month lease whenever possible. Don't get suckered into a 48-month because the payment only drops about like 18 bucks. Number 3, the total cost of your lease is more than 50% of the actual vehicle's MSRP. Let me give you a very specific example. So if you've got a $25,000 Honda Accord, say it's an LX, the lease payment is at like $300 a month. You multiply the $300 a month over 36 months, you're at $11,000 roughly, $10,800. Then you add the fees, which is about $1,500, you're at about $12,500. Double it, and you're right under $25,000, which proves my point in that you're right under 50% of the vehicle's MSRP as the total cost of your lease. The ideal situation to be in is being in a situation of about 35% of the vehicle's MSRP of the total of cost of your lease. The reason why I'm saying 35% is because most vehicles depreciate about 40%, and when you're negotiating a strong lease deal, you're negotiating down between the MSRP and the residual, in essence, the depreciation. So if you can negotiate a good deal, you're really just chipping away at that 40%. If you can get between 35 and 50%, you're not doing too bad, especially if you're closer to the 35 than you are the 50. So if you instead were paying only, say, $10,000 for that Honda Accord over the course of 3 years, including the $1,500 in fees, you're doing a hell of a job. Number 4, the rent charge, aka the interest that you're paying on the lease, is pretty close to the actual depreciation of the car. What the rent charge is the interest that's paid over the course of the lease, and you'll find this when you're about to sign the lease agreement for the vehicle. In essence, on the contract, you're going to see the sum of the interest that's being paid on the car. That's called the rent charge. And what's common is seeing it, say, on like a Jeep Wrangler, where the lease payment is maybe $400 a month, and of that $400, $160 of it per month is pure interest. If the rent charge that you're paying on the car is very, very close to the depreciation, that's a sign of a bad lease deal that you can't really do much about. The idea would be to either, instead of leasing it, to purchase it. That way most of the money that you're paying is going against the actual vehicle and not a ton of interest. Number 5, getting a deal that's identical or even asking for the advertised lease special. You should never ever get a deal that's very, very close to what's being offered online or in the newspaper, because those advertised lease specials are designed to make a ton of profit for the dealership. The advertised lease special is a combination of a lot of different things that I'm talking about in this video, whether it be a large amount down or a short term or even a long term 48-month lease. They're just designed to make it easier for you to sign. By visiting the links in the description below, you'll be able to shop around for not only the best price on a car, but check out your FICO Auto 8 scores, as well as shop around for insurance rates. If you found this information useful, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.